All right, this is a question. I'm going to read it and then I'll answer it. Hi, Becky. Thank you so much for taking the time to read this. I'm 25 and live in Australia and have had anorexia for 7 years. I'm trying to recover on my own as there is not much at all in the way of help where I live. My question is this. It was hard to pick just one as there are so many questions. How can you get over the anxiety of asking others to help you? For example, my mother and sister are the only ones I can ask for help. And when I asked Mom with shaking voice, can we go out for coffee and get cake together? Of course she said yes. When we were there and the coffee and cake was brought out, my body began to shake and tears began to roll down my face. I honestly don't know why I was confused at the time and couldn't control my emotions. Every part of me wanted to run, but I made myself sit there and drink every ounce of the coffee and eat my share of the cake we were sharing. When it was over, I was so proud of myself that I didn't just leave it. I could have bolted out of that place in a second. However, Mom was so angry and said, "What on earth was so scary? And we're never doing this again." It was horrible. That broke my heart. I know I need to do that with her over and over until it is okay, but she won't. She got so angry again when we got home and said she was done if I couldn't even have coffee with her. I couldn't control what my emotions did, and I'm so confused as to why everything came out to the table. The coffee date turned to a war with myself. Any insight or personal experiences would be so very greatly appreciated. Thanks, Becky. I wish I lived in America so I could go to your center. Thank you. Okay, so yes, this has happened to me many times before I recovered for lots and lots of years. And pretty much anytime I ate anything other than a safe food, this would happen. Especially when I started really truly eating unrestrictedly and fully committed to recovery. Same thing, my body would start shaking. My heart felt like it was beating out of its chest, and I felt like I couldn't taste what I was eating at all. I was so scared and nervous. So I want to use an analogy here and try to follow me as I explain this. And the reason that we have this is because we have taught our brains that these foods are a threat and that they're scary. So my analogy is, imagine you walk around the neighborhood in the evening around your house and you pass a person who's wearing like a black robber looking mask and is in like a long black trench coat and looks a little mischievous. As you're approaching him, he's coming at you and you're walking towards him. As you approach him, at least for me, my heart would start pounding and I would feel like I was threatened because I wouldn't be able to see this person's face. It would really scare me. And as I kept doing this each night, I would walk past and realize, oh, this is actually, there's no threat involved. This person's actually wearing a mask because it's freezing cold outside. And then I was able to, have no more, I did not have a scary response or my heart didn't beat as I would pass this person. So now let's jump to what happened to you with your mom going out for coffee and cake. So we've taught our brains since, however long we've been struggling, in your case, 7 years, with your eating disorder, that these foods are something to be afraid of. So when you sit down to eat it, you're going to have that same response as you would if you're approaching somebody really scary on the streets. Your heart's going to beat, you're going to shake, you're going to be so scared. It feels the same. People that don't have eating disorders aren't going to fully understand that, and I'm so sorry. That's probably where your mom's coming from, is she doesn't understand it. And really, to anybody else, it is an irrational fear. Cake and coffee is not scary when you don't have an eating disorder. So as you continue to do this, even though it was so terrifying, continue to eat that cake and coffee, continue to eat the things that scare you. That's going to be that person that you're passing on the street that now is completely harmless and isn't going to scare you. It's not going to hurt you. So kind of a stretch of an analogy, but that's something that I would think often when I would be shaking like that. And I would take myself out to lunch. That's another thing that I might suggest for you. If it's hard for you to go out with your mom and it doesn't feel like a positive support, then I would oftentimes just take myself out to lunch, which was a huge challenge for me because I always had to justify eating out. It had to be because I had to go to an event or because somebody invited me and be rude not to go. So for me to actually initiate going out to eat, sitting in a restaurant by myself, ordering something challenging and doing that by myself, was very, very scary. But as I kept doing it, I realized there's really nothing scary about this. And I remember thinking, when I'm recovered, I want to be able to take myself out to lunch and not feel like I had to earn it or anything. And I love that I can do that now. So try to, as you sit down and it feels terrifying, just say, I don't be surprised. Like, I know this is going to happen. I've taught my brain for many years that this is something that is terrifying, and I have to prove to my brain that it's not scary. And the only way to do that is to keep eating those scary foods over and over and over again. Some foods for me, I found took only a few times of eating, and then I was like, oh, that's really good, and that wasn't that hard. Other things I found took a long time before I could eat it without shaking. My hands would literally like this in a restaurant. And I think people probably looked at me and thought I was crazy, or maybe I had like tremor or something, but I did it, and I'm so glad that I did. So I know that that will pay off. If you just keep running into that fear, your body's eventually going to realize that nothing bad happens at all. I'm sorry your first experience doing that with your mom wasn't a positive one. Maybe you can, I don't know what your relationship is with your mom. It's hard to explain to someone who hasn't had an eating disorder. So be patient with her and just forgive her and understand that she doesn't fully understand what you're going through. So anyways, I hope that helps. Thanks.